Hey, Reliability Gang, I'm Jonathan Guiney.
And I'm Brendan Russ, and welcome to Reliability Radio, a JLL production, a ReliabilityWeb.com media brand.
Brendan, we're going to skip through all the fluff real quick, and we're going to go right to our next guest. Jim Carrel, welcome back to the podcast. How you doing, buddy?
Great to be here. Thank you for asking.
So here we are at TRC 2025. We're walking these halls. We're hearing this, that, and the other thing about reliability, asset management, the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence. The tomorrow is here. What's your general impression?
What's going through Jim's mind right now?
There are a lot of people with good intentions, and some of them are actually aware of the things that they speak of. You had asked me before what kind of gets under my skin a little bit. And I don't generally talk about that because I'm an optimist. But I think those individuals who know the reliability terminology without the meaning, and their discussions in reliability and asset management become reliability word salad, that's the part that gets under my skin. And the reason is that it gives the rest of us a bad name. If without a real understanding of our disciplines, you don't get the results. And so an organization that will bring on somebody to guide them who's never been on the journey themselves means that they're likely not going to be successful. So if one of us comes later and says, hey, I think there's some things that we can do here, they go, no, we've tried that already, it didn't work. For instance, there are thousands of vibration analyst companies in the United States, and few who really know what they're doing. There are vibration providers, the hardware providers, the equipment providers, who sell their equipment based on what is easiest or quickest rather than what actually accomplishes the target. There are individuals who will skip critical steps in an analysis because it's hard, but then that means the outcome's different. There are individuals or companies that sell what they consider to be market-setting analytic tools whose data lake is just junk. And although the tool looks great, the output isn't usable. Sometimes we just need to take a step back, and it's okay if, and I'm not running their business, and I don't have to be responsible for their profit and loss statements or anything like that. I just think sometimes we're moving too fast.
Do you think that's an extension of just potential ignorance? Or you said like they have the best of intentions, so they think they understand something. Yeah. So is it just ignorance, like they just haven't been exposed? Or do you see it as we're just going too fast and darn it, I don't need to stop and read. I just need to go, baby, go. Go fast, break.
Yeah, so some will say, the future is here. This is now the future. No, it's not. The future is still the future. And I love the concept of analytics and taking a bunch of things off of my plate that can be automated. I'm not so sure that we're ready for that yet. I think actually we're ready for it. I just don't think it's here yet. I think it's in development and it will be here. It's just not here today. We do a lot of work with analyzing work orders. The information that's held in most work orders is at best incomplete. And then some of the searchability is different because there could be, I don't know how many hundred different ways to misspell air handler. And if I
wouldn't know anything about that, Jim.
Yeah, I like the pirate version, the R handler.
The
R handler. So if I can look at a language learning machine, eventually they will figure out all of those different aspects of it. And some of that exists today, but that doesn't mean that it's connected to something that will do the right type of analysis and produce a Pareto chart. I think we're really, really close to that. And when it happens, it'll be a great day because I hate doing it manually.
So is it really a data problem? Yeah, because We
No.
started off talking about like people maybe misrepresenting what they may be able to provide. Some of that sounded like it was maybe they're just not clear on what they're saying they're going to provide. And some of it may be, well, what they're trying to provide is based on nothing. So building a house on top of sand. So when you try to balance those kind of two statements, which one is the greater of those two evils, or which is the more pervasive or more widely sustained problem?
I think the current, and this could be different in a month, but right now it's people who misrepresent their knowledge base. I can have all of the terms and write a specification about reliability-centered maintenance that's based on an understanding that reliability-centered maintenance is a type of maintenance like preventive maintenance and predictive maintenance and reactive maintenance and reliability-centered maintenance. And we see that all the time, and reliability-centered maintenance is not maintenance.
It's not a strategy.
No, it's not a strategy. It's not a methodology. It's an analysis process.
To determine your strategy.
Exactly. And so if I'm asked to produce a program of reliability-centered maintenance, the first thing that I see is that the person asking me the question doesn't understand the information. Now, the good news is we get paid to educate.
Sir, I'm not sure you understand the term. So when you broach that subject, how does that go, Jim?
Well, that's why there's tact. We recently were handed a specification, and in there were some instructions. And I understand all of the words, each word in the instruction, but as they were put side by side, it just didn't make any sense. And we had to go back and say, you have to clarify, and they could not.
I'm going to tell you something, Jim. We see that all the time, right? When I go through and read an RFP, everybody wants to use the buzzwords: RCM, predictive maintenance, artificial. It is word soup, right? And like you said, contextually, when they stitch it all together, it makes no sense. You get people that start off in one theory and then negate that original theory by writing something else down below, right? They want a preventative maintenance program that has RCM inputs, but then wants to run it's just whatever the case may be. We see it all the time. What do you want to tell the listening audience around educating themselves or, doing their homework and really trying to understand before they go out and talk to a service provider?
So two things. The first thing I want to say is I'm not Eeyore, and it'll never work. This is a horrible day. I like the idea that we're at least talking about it, that we've got an industry that even though they may not understand the terms are still coming out of their mouth or on their papers or in their RFPs. And that's a huge turn. We'll get there. My ask of individuals is that if you don't know, ask. Look it up. It's easy to don't use Wikipedia or Google because they don't know either. And most of those search engines and the analytics are looking at a tainted level of a group of information anyway. So what they're going to ask somebody who knows, find somebody who knows and learn from them. Plenty of books, plenty of information, plenty of valuable things. Coming to a place like this, you could bet that most of the things that are being presented, although they could be wrong, but most of the things that are presented here are pretty accurate. People are spot on in a lot of things that they're doing here. But even in a place like this, it has to be taken with a grain of salt. Check it out for yourself.
Yeah, we always talk about the interweb being the place where you can find anything you want.
If you really wanted to find out that the sky was green, you can Google it and find it out.
You can, on the same day, you can find out that it's orange.
Purple.
Or that it doesn't exist.
Or it's been renamed.
Or it's cotton candy.
Yeah, it's just a thing. So in our world, we have to be specific. If I'm required to increase the availability and uptime of a particular system, there's a specificity to that. If I'm looking at increasing throughput, improving quality, and bettering profitability, those are specific metrics. And people's careers are either made or lost based on whether or not they hit those metrics. we can't come in with sloppy science fiction driven definitions of things and hope that maybe we'll make enough mistakes that it'll work. The idea of reliability is 50 years old. So it's in the specificity of reliability-centered maintenance, the 1978 Nolan and Heap paper. It's nothing new. The technologies are that are assisting it are fantastic because it used to be done by hand. But there are some disciplines that we can follow, some rules-based things that make sure that the outcomes that we have are real. And that means that it's incumbent upon the practitioner to get it right the first time.
Yeah, and I think, like you said before, having a little bit of tact, but having that tough conversation with the client to make sure that they understand what they're really asking for, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, the last thing we want to do as service providers is deliver something that doesn't meet the intention of their organizational objective.
We have, in the last 2 years, there are 2 clients that we had that we decided the best thing to do was to part ways because they would not accept the real definitions of, they were asking us to do things that, although they had all the right terms, just weren't achievable. And we just said, look, it's no hard feelings here. This is what we do, and we think we're pretty good at it. And what you're asking us to accomplish isn't currently possible.
Yeah, you got to level set expectations and make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. I like the discussion. I just want to make sure that we stay, at the end of the day, when the head hits the pillow, that tomorrow's still going to be a great day. That we can still be in charge of our own future. We can decide what we're going to do tomorrow, and put as many categories of life into I control this category. And as long as we do that, the rest of the stuff, although it may be a little annoying, doesn't affect the outcome if we stay in control of deciding our own moments.
Kind of trying to recap as we start to draw to a close here. So one is when we're starting to get information either from people asking us to do something, right, we got to remember if we're not really sure they got what the message is, education with tact, you got to make sure that you're broaching that with the utmost respect while making sure they are really clear and understanding of what it is reliability really means. And if we're trying to get some information from some people that may sound too good to be true, or those data analytics doesn't match up with what you think it is, that whole trust but verify kind of concept, just trying to really make sure we're all on the same playing field. We all understand the same things the same way with the same level of competency, right? Because that's, I think, at the end of the day, that's the real kind of topic we're discussing here, Jim, is making sure we all have the competency when we talk about this, right?
And look for coachability in others. And as long as that's present, wherever we are today is just a starting point. We can still get to whatever horizon we're looking as long as we and our clients stay coachable.
Fantastic. Well, Jim, as we kind of bring this in, do you have any other last pieces of advice for the audience?
Don't give up.
Never give up.
Don't give up.
Everybody's got to have a cat poster, right? Hanging
it is possible in every single asset's history to not have a failure. It is possible. There's always a decision point that if I go right, it fails. If I go left, it doesn't. So pick the right. It's always possible to pick the right direction. We just have to make sure that we slow down enough to be able to have the information to make the right decisions. It's always possible.
Jim, as always, great to have you on the podcast. And for all of our listeners out there, we'll see you guys soon.